Hi guys, it's Toddy here from Recombo, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, one of two highly rumoured phones that have finally hit the market, or at least finally been launched, we should say. This is, by the name, the larger of the two devices. It is fronted by a 6.2-inch Quad HD Plus Super AMOLED display. And what that actually means is it's an 18.5:9 aspect ratio display. It has Samsung's dual curve technology, just like we have with the S7 Edge, so both sides curve off to a near bezel-less finish, so it looks stunning, especially head-on. And that resolution, as I said, 2960 by 1440. That aspect ratio is closer to that of a cinema, so when you're watching video in landscape, you should theoretically get a more kind of true to, like less letterboxing or pillar boxing or anything of that sort. Also, you get 18% more screen space at the top, which means that Samsung says, at least, it's better for multitasking because you can do, of course, split screen multitasking. Now, what we're actually looking at here, this software is Android 7.0 Nougat, but with the company's own TouchWiz interface over the top. But it is a dramatically different look to what we've seen with even the Nougat update on the S7 and S7 Edge. Most obviously by some of the icons here, the Samsung's native apps, you can see the icons are wholly different. But one thing it does have is that swipe up gesture, something we saw with the Pixel launch on the Google Pixel and Pixel XL at the end of last year. So there are definitely elements that kind of highlight the fact that this is Nougat, but it is still distinctly Samsung. You can also see from the notification shade as well. Also, one thing you'll notice down the bottom there is a home button is now an on-screen home button. They finally ditched the backlit capacitive keys and physical home button in place of this touch-based setup, just like we've seen from other Android phones, but it means that the bezels are that much smaller on the top and bottom as well as the left and right of the screen. And the home button itself is also pressure sensitive, so when you press hard like that, it's actually haptic, so it vibrates when you press it. This means that, say you're watching a video and you want to jump straight back to the home without having to swipe up and get the buttons back into view, you can just press that area and it vibrates in the same way, so you know that you're going back to the home without having to see the button, which is nice. Of course, by getting rid of the physical home button, they also lose the fingerprint sensor. So what they've done is they've actually relocated that onto the back of the phone. So if I just de-smudge that there. So we have the flash and heart rate sensor, we have the rear-facing camera, and we have a fingerprint sensor as well. And it is completely flush to the back. Being on the back, it should be easy to get at with one hand, nice and convenient for ambidextrous users, which is always appreciated. Another thing worth noting whilst we're on the back is the camera. Now, of course, the camera is a huge part of any Samsung flagship. It's actually a very similar camera to last year's phone. It's a 12 megapixel dual pixel focus technology sensor. It has EIS and OIS. It has an f1.7 aperture, so a wonderfully low, wide aperture for great low light performance. But the biggest difference really over last year's camera is that if you turn the phone side on in this beautifully rounded form that this midnight black option has, it's basically flush to the back of the phone. So it's something that they've been working on with their previous flagships and been shrinking that camera bump down. With the A series this year, 2017's A series, we saw it go down, and now it's basically flush on the flagship and it looks great. It also means it's just like less intrusive in your pocket, but you still get that great imaging quality. Of course, you can shoot in 4K, of course. Also, this design, being a Samsung flagship, is IP68 certified as well. It features wireless charging and fast charging too. And now also we have Type-C USB on the bottom here. So we had that with the Note 7, it came in with the A series this year, and now the S8 and S8 Plus both have Type-C USB on the bottom. That's fast charging over Type-C USB. It also supports fast wireless charging, I should say. This connection also means that they can use it for their new DeX dock, which basically allows you to connect the phone into a dock, and then you have a full desktop-like experience with multitasking, floating windows, all of that stuff. You can even log into Citrix and have a remote desktop, all powered by the hardware inside the S8 or S8 Plus. Speaking of hardware, this pre-brief, we don't actually know the exact processor, but the UK model will feature an Exynos chipset. It's an octa-core chipset, I believe it's a 2.3, 1.4 gigahertz split dual quad-core setup with 4 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of internal storage, and microSD expandability as well. But obviously in other markets, that Snapdragon 835 will be on there too. And also at the top here, whilst we're looking at the front of the phone, as well as a 8 megapixel front-facing camera with an f1.7 aperture and autofocus and face detection. It's a loaded camera and it's an uprated version from its predecessor. You also have the iris scanner, which is an improved version of the one found on the Note 7. You might be able to see here and here there are actually technologies. There's an infrared camera and there's an actual kind of light to kind of read your iris. It's an improved technology in Samsung's own words over the Note 7's one, and in the demos that we saw at this event, it is incredibly fast and snappy and it looks great. It looks like it's a nice way to kind of authenticate jump through. If you don't use the fingerprint sensor, it's equally as convenient as that, which is nice too. Now another thing I should note whilst we're on the front here is this button on the side. So we have the volume rocker here, we have the power button around here, and this other button now is the, it's called the Bixby button. Bixby is the company's new voice assistant, or I should say digital assistant, because it's more than just voice. If I tap this button, what it does, it jumps you into the Hello Bixby screen, which is a mix of news from the Update News stream, which you can see here, and also like things like fitness, health, steps, weather, news, YouTube, anything you follow, subscribe, location stuff, your diary, all the things you would expect. And whilst this particular model doesn't have it, it will also have Bixby integration via voice. So anything you can do with touch, you should be able to do with voice. You can do things like ask it the weather, but you could also say find pictures from London, and it can read metadata from London. There's also this feature up here called Bixby Vision, which if I tap this, it'll take you into the camera. And what it allows you to do, it's much like the, I believe it's called Firefly on the Amazon Fire phone. You can take a picture of a product or a place, or an object, and you can have it search using these three filters at the bottom: place, image, or shopping. And it can, as you might be able to guess, either find out where you are and tell you about that area or what's nearby, or if you want to buy a product, you could say take a photo of a chocolate bar and tap shopping, and it'll take you to the online store where you can buy that product. So that's a nice additional feature that Bixby brings to the table. But in terms of the voice component, which is the fundamental way to interact with Bixby come it launches, and as you can see, there's also the Google Assistant by holding the home button. Bixby will initially launch in Korea, the voice element, then come to the US, and then Europe across the year. So we should have a UK version of Bixby before the year is out, hopefully, because that's obviously a very principal feature of the S8 and S8 Plus. Now I think that's everything I can tell you right about now. The phone doesn't yet have a price or release date in this country, but obviously we'll have that very soon, probably come the actual launch on the 29th of March, which you should be watching on this day today. And also you can find out more about the phone and the S8 on rocombo.com/mobile. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and thanks for watching.